Good morning. My name is Lauren Mason, and I'm joining you from a hotel room this morning. I have chosen to kind of go on a little self-care and study little sabbatical retreat for myself. So I am just spending a few days away to read and to study and to practice. And I'm really happy to be sharing some practice with you this morning. So I wanted to talk a little bit about myself, a little to get us started, and just introduce the practice that we're going to do. So I am a yoga therapist. Sorry, let me switch my little headset. So I am a yoga therapist, which means that I have been training as a yoga teacher for a long time. So the basic yoga training is 200 hours, and I have about 1,000 hours of training, a little bit more than that, and about 10 years experience teaching yoga. And before that, I taught some dance and some other kind of movement stuff, not really officially. Anyway, so I came into yoga from a movement background and from a place where I didn't really have a spiritual practice that was really, really personal to me. It felt like something that I had been given and I was supposed to follow, but I didn't always appreciate or understand in a personal way. So I found that kind of personal spiritual practice with my yoga practice. I really appreciated that I was able to kind of do what I wanted inside my own head and use my body to move in a way that felt beneficial for me and felt really nourishing and comforting for me. I'd done a lot of things in my dance training and other exercise that were all about what can my body do for me and what can I force it to do and what are like the limits that I can go to. And I was never really satisfied with any of my exercise or dance training because of my attitude really towards my body. So yoga gave me this really nice way to connect to my body, to listen to my body, to feel like we could work together rather than me just telling my body what to do. So I really like the practice of yoga, both for how it helps me feel about my body, how it helps me learn about my body and care for my body, but also the kind of personal experience that it gives me. It helps me to be comfortable in my own mind. It helps me to process my emotions and my thoughts. So this practice this morning that we're going to do is really just my favorite way of practicing. And if I had a style of yoga that I would call Lauren yoga, it would be what we're going to do today. We're going to incorporate a little bit of chanting, which you are welcome to use or you're welcome to not use. I'll give you options. We'll incorporate some kind of gentle adaptive flow movements along with some nice long stretches. And then we're going to do quite a bit of breathing meditation, all included in this. So I might call it a meditative flow or an adaptive meditative flow, something like that. It's really just my favorite practices, the things that are most powerful and impactful for me. And I wanted to share these with you this morning, not only because this feels kind of like a very intimate thing that I am sharing to come and practice with you while I'm doing my little seclusion sabbatical here, but also because I want to show you how you can become a teacher that shares what is really meaningful to you when you go through a lot of training. So when we first start our yoga training, we're learning a lot of kind of general rules. We're learning things that have been kind of done a specific way for a long time, and we're kind of learning to color in the lines. And then as you do more and more training, you're able to kind of adapt things to fit your personal style and teach the people that you encounter that connect best with you. So this is kind of, well, I feel like every single time I teach, it's the culmination of all of my experience kind of coming into this one practice. But this today, what I'm really hoping to share with you is just an authentic kind of practice from me with all the things that I find really useful for myself, and hopefully you will find useful as well. So please join me on the mat. I don't have many props today, hardly any at all. I have a little block over here that I might use just because I am not at a yoga studio. I'm just in a room. So we're going to actually start laying down in our practice. So you're welcome to come there if you like. But since it's easier for you to hear me when I am seated, and because I don't really mind sitting for meditation, I'm going to stay here. But you're welcome to go ahead and come onto your back for our kind of opening centering here. So please take a moment as you begin your practice just to settle in. Feel where your body is supported by the floor. And allow yourself to be supported. For me, this is first thing in the morning. Depending on when you are practicing, maybe you recognize things that you've been carrying with you today, or things you've been carrying with you for the past few days. Noticing how those are manifesting in your body, how they are affecting your breath, the quality of your mind. Recognize these things, and if you're able to, maybe you let some of them go. Or maybe just imagine putting them to the side for now, putting them off your mat or away from your practice space so that you can choose to focus on yourself. This is something that even after 15 or 16 years of yoga practice is very difficult for me. Choosing to practice, choosing to focus here and now, instead of focusing on all the things that need to be done or taken care of, is a challenge nearly every single time I ask myself to do it. So I'm giving myself and giving you time to transition, to choose to be present. And of course, one of the most useful tools we have to keep our focus in this movement is the breath. So please begin to notice your breath, feeling it flow in and out, feeling the body expand and contract. As you're ready, begin to invite the breath to be a little bit slower and a little bit deeper. Expanding into the whole rib cage as you inhale. Emptying the breath out slowly and completely as you exhale. Using the breath to notice and feel. Noticing any areas of tension or hesitation. Notice if sides of the body feel different. Notice the quality of the breath, whether it is smooth or if there is hesitation. Perhaps your hands naturally find a point of connection, what we might call a mudra. Maybe it's just the way that your hands want to be held right now. Perhaps you imagine breathing with the whole body. Imagining bringing the energy of the inhale out to fill the entire body, and using the energy of the exhale to help soften and center the entire body, helping you to be present not only with the breath, but present with the whole body. Adopting a mindset of exploration, of learning, adopting a mindset of care and nourishment. Focusing in on what you need most right now in this moment, and inviting this in to fill the entire body as you breathe. And for me, what I am meeting this morning is to remember the flow, to remember to ride the waves, to take things as they come, to be present with each experience, do my best in each moment, releasing expectations, releasing anxieties. And so the mantra that embodies this for me today is Om Nama Shivaya. Om Nama Shivaya. This is a very simple mantra. It's just adoration to the idea of Shiva. This mantra can mean many, many, many things. But today it means to me surrendering to the natural order of things, surrendering to the flow, surrendering to what will happen. Doing my best to act well as things arise in my life. Om Namah Shivaya. This is my intention for my practice today. So if you are on your back, you can stay there, continue to breathe and think about your personal intention or focus, or of course, you can always adopt mine. And anytime you hear me say this mantra, that's a reminder for you to focus again on your intention. And so we'll start here on the back with a little bit of movement in the pelvis. For me, this is a really important part of my body where I do a lot of therapeutic movement. It's also important in my work. I love to work with the pelvis. It's the center of our anatomy, and I find it a really wonderful place to start practice. So with your knees bent, feet on the mat, and with your arms resting comfortably by your sides, feel the pelvis, the sacrum, sinking into the floor. Feel the shoulders sinking into the floor and feel the head sinking into the floor. And as you inhale, arch your back, letting your tailbone sink. And as you exhale, tuck the tailbone, flattening the back a little bit more towards the floor. Then continue like this. Inhale, this is an anterior forward tilt to the pelvis. Exhale, posterior or backward tilt to the pelvis. And continue like this. Inhale, arching. Exhale, lengthening or flattening. And continue at your own pace, feeling into the pelvis, feeling into the spine, allowing the whole spine to move along with you. You'll feel a gentle nod in the head if you allow the body to kind of move along with this. Moving slowly at the pace of your breath. There's no rush. This is something I need to tell myself over and over again with my practice. You might notice in my teaching that I teach some things very slowly. And one of the reasons is because it is my instinct to rush through those things. And I know that I miss things if I rush through them. As you're ready, start to make this more circular. So you're kind of rocking around the circle of your sacrum, or rocking to one hip and then the low back and then the other hip and towards the tail. And then a few circles going the other way. When you're ready, coming back to neutral. And then draw the knees in towards the body, placing your hands on your knees, fingers pointing towards your toes. We'll do a few rounds of Apanasana. This is a gentle movement where we just inhale to straighten the elbows and bring the knees away from the body. And exhale to draw the knees in, bending the elbows. Inhaling, knees away. Exhaling, knees in close. And the legs and the feet are relaxed here. The arms are mostly relaxed too. There's just a little bit of gentle movement. Again, nice and slow with the breath. Massaging the low back and the belly a little bit. And then release the legs back down. Bring the arms out by the sides. Bring the feet and the knees close together. Inhale. And with an exhale, bring the knees over towards one side, any amount. I encourage you to start small. Inhale up to the center. Exhale to the other side. Continuing like this at your own pace. Feeling into the hips and the low back. Maybe feeling this up into the ribs and the chest. About 2 more breaths like this. With the next breath, rolling all the way to one side. To slowly make the way to hands and knees. And setting up a good foundation here. Wrists about under shoulders, knees about under hips. And we'll do a little bit of back and forth movement. So inhaling for a little bitty cow pose. Exhaling, hips back towards heels. making the way eventually to child's pose, hips all the way back towards heels, head resting down on the hands maybe, or all the way down at the mat. Hands might reach back. Slow, full breaths here. Expanding all the way from the tips of the shoulders to the tips of the hips. And then coming forward to the hands and knees, but then coming into a knees down plank. So knees behind the hips, shoulders right over the wrists. We're going to do a little bit stronger flow here. So taking a movement similar to what we started with and then slowly increasing. So inhaling and then exhale, a little low plank, chaturanga. Inhale, lift the heart, roll the shoulders back, little cobra pose. And then exhale, pressing back up, hips towards heels. Inhale, plank. Exhale, chaturanga. Inhale for bhujangasana, cobra pose. And then exhale back towards child's pose. We'll do this 2 more times, inhaling for high plank. Exhaling for a low plank, chaturanga. Inhale, cobra, bhujangasana. Exhale towards balasana, modified balasana, child's pose. Once more like this. And then tucking the toes now, making the way into downward facing dog. So grounding through the hands, tucking the toes, reaching the hips up and back. And again, for me, this is pretty early in the morning. So I'm pausing here to bend one knee and then the other, pedaling out my feet. And then one of my favorite warm-ups for downward facing dog to get into the side body and the hips a little bit more. Turn your toes to one side, bend your knees in that direction, and then lengthen that hip up and back. And you can stay on one side for a while, or you can switch sides. Inhaling to the center, exhaling to stretch to the side. And go back and forth like that a few times, or do a few breaths on each side. When you're ready, coming back to neutral, back to Adho Mukha Svanasana, downward facing dog. Nice broad shoulders, nice long spine. Good full breath. When you're ready, lower your knees, sink your hips back, finding Balasana or child's pose again. Maybe rolling the hands on the wrists. Nice, full, slow breaths. And then we'll get into the side body a little bit more before doing a little bit more kind of flow work. So I'm coming up now to a high kneeling position and into a gate latch position. So stepping the right foot out to the side, finding good tall posture here. I'm going to start by leaning towards my right side. So right hand comes down, inhale the left arm up, exhale to stretch over. And I'll take a couple of breaths here, grounding down through the legs, lifting and lengthening through the side body, making sure to keep the bottom of my waist long and open as well, and my chest open. And then going the other way, inhaling through the center, exhaling, finding a modified side plank. Grounding through the left hand, reaching and lifting through the right. And then flowing with the breath here. So with my inhale, I'm grounding down, lifting up, using the inhale to help me guide to the center. Exhaling, reaching. Inhale through center. Exhale over the other way. Continuing like this for a little while, using the stability of my legs, core, waist, to help smooth out this movement. And as I get more comfortable with it, I'm trying to go even slower. With my next inhale, coming up to center, exhaling, hands down towards the mat. And I'm actually going to walk my hands a little further forward here to do kind of a tabletop position with one leg out to the side. And then inhale to reach the right arm up. Exhale to twist, wrapping the hand around. Inhaling up. Exhaling, twisting a little further. Inhaling up. Exhaling a little bit deeper. I'm going to do this one or two more times until my body feels ready to go even deeper, coming into a thread the needle type twist. I like resting my head on my hand as I reach the right arm down and through, actively pressing through the right leg, reaching the hips back, breathing. And then with an inhale, slowly coming back to both hands. And then changing sides, pausing for a moment here in between sides to move through the hips, maybe move through the spine a little bit. And then left leg steps out, slowly finding the balance, coming back up into the gate latch position. Again, left hand is going to slide down first. We'll go into proper Harigasana gate pose on the left-hand side for a couple of breaths. Feeling the stability here, finding my grounding and my balance. And then inhale up, exhale over for that modified side plank with an extended arm. So you might even call it extended side plank. Again, feeling the stability, feeling the balance in my body, feeling the relationship between everything. And then flowing with this, inhaling to the center, exhaling to the side. Again, trying to go as slowly as I can with control. And as I'm moving and breathing, I'm internalizing Om Nama Shivaya. I honor my place in the flow of life. I honor my place in the natural order of things. I honor what I am able to control and influence. I honor the flow of my breath. When I feel balanced in both directions, coming back to the center, bringing my hands down, and then starting that twist flow. So with an inhale, reaching up. Exhale, wrapping around. Feeling the rotation of my body, the relationship between different parts of my body. Listening into a sensation and honoring my body's limits. Listening to what it's communicating to me. When ready, coming into that twist, reaching through. Again, I like to rest my head on my hand. And then making sure I'm keeping activity in my body. Reaching back through the hips, pressing down through the legs, reaching through this bottom hand, and taking full intentional breaths. And then gradually coming back to hands and knees. Pausing to move a little bit. And then making my way back into downward facing dog. Breathing here, finding length through the spine, stability through the whole body. Om Nama Shivaya. And now flowing a little bit, doing a little bit more strengthening, a little bit more hip opening. So with an inhale, reaching up through one foot, finding an open three-legged dog. So bending the knee, reaching the foot up and over, keeping the heart mostly centered, continuing to lengthen up and back. Inhale here. Exhale the knee all the way across towards the opposite elbow. Inhaling, opening up. Exhaling all the way across, nice and slow with control. And then inhaling back, exhaling, downward facing dog. And then lowering down for a moment. I'm going to sit back on my heels. You could practice child's pose just to give the wrists a break. And for me, it's useful to come upright in between because being upside down for too long doesn't feel good for my body. And then that same thing on the other side. So coming back to downward facing dog. Bringing the opposite leg up now, opening out to the side, lengthening through the hip, turning the heart mostly forward. Nice inhale. Exhale all the way across. Inhale up and back. Exhale all the way across. Do that a few more times, slowly on the breath. With the next exhale, returning downward facing dog. And then again, lowering the knees, finding a seated position or child's pose to roll the wrists, maybe offering a little bit of compression to the wrists, just a gentle squeeze. And then make your way to a seated position, both legs stretched out in front. And you can actually start with pretty bent knees. So forward bending is very easy for my body to do. I have a big range of motion there. But you might find that you want to have your knees quite bent. So start by kind of sitting tall, lengthening your body, bringing your belly and your chest towards your legs. Nice inhale here. And then exhale to round over. And if you are comfortable, you might flex your feet, holding onto the soles of your feet. And then you may allow the legs to slowly stretch out to your limit. So I'm still keeping my knees fairly bent here to start. And I'm really thinking about drawing the belly towards the thighs and lengthening through the crown of the head to bring this into my lower back, which despite my large range of motion, I have a hard time stretching into that area. And this is one of my favorites for that. So there's a little push-pull, pressing the foot into the hands, hands into the feet. And of course, nice, slow, full breaths. When you're ready, gently release, coming up to sit tall. And bring the soles of the feet together, just as close to the body as you can still maintain a nice tall spine. Holding on to the feet or the ankles, mostly just to help keep your balance. Inhaling nice and tall here. And you might stay here, or you might exhale and start to come forward, pressing the feet together, reaching out through the knees. And again, a nice feeling of lengthening through the whole back. You may or may not round the spine. You may stay nice and long here. Nice, full, slow breaths. With an inhale, slowly release. Stretch the legs out. Find a little bit of free movement. And then cross the legs with the shins mostly parallel. I might turn so you can see this a little better. So I'm trying to find the ankles in line with the knees. And if you're comfortable, you may actually stack one leg on top of the other. And make sure that both feet are gently flexed to protect your ankles. Inhale to sit tall here. Stay, or as you exhale, maybe slowly come forward. Going just to your appropriate limit. Continuing to keep the legs active. You're actively grounding down, actively lengthening through the spine, actively breathing. When you're ready, slowly come up. Take your time changing sides. You might want to do a little bit of reset movement in between, or you might be able just to recross. And take your time when you're ready. Find that good alignment, good flexed feet. Inhale to sit tall and exhale to come forward any amount. And then slowly coming back up, uncrossing the legs, stretching them out long, getting a little bit of movement. And then from here, we'll come into a time of breathing and meditation. So I'm going to grab my block to sit on, because one of my favorite ways to breathe and meditate is to kneel on a block. So it's between my feet and I'm sitting on it. So you can lay down if you like, you can sit if you like, you could even sit in a chair if that is more comfortable for you. And we're just going to continue with my intention and focus of just going with the flow. So I'm going to start here and just focus in on my breath. And let my breath guide me to where it is comfortable going. So my kind of sneaky intention is to lengthen my breath. And so I'm hoping that my body is comfortable with that. But I'm going to honor what it is comfortable with and honor sensations that arise for me. And some days I want to sit in stillness. Sometimes that is uncomfortable for my body. So the first thing I always want to do is find stillness, find my shoulders over my hips, head in line with my spine, and just breathe. But sometimes I find it useful to let my arms float out or up as I inhale, and then come back to center or relax as I exhale. And so not moving in any particular way, but just allowing my arms to flow with the breath. And sometimes this is a great way for me to get out of my own head and get out of my way, to help the breath feel more comfortable with lengthening. So we'll practice this for a couple more minutes, just feeling the breath, flowing with the breath, inviting it to expand, inviting it to lengthen, and moving in any way that is useful. You might just move in your hands. You might move in another way, or you might sit in stillness. A few more slow breaths like this. Finish the breath you're on and take one more. And then let your breath come to a more restful, soft pace. Adjust your body position if you like to be more comfortable or more neutral. And let your hands come to a gesture of receiving. Whatever that looks like for you, it might just be palms facing up. Bring to mind again your intention or your focus for your practice. What do you need most? What do you want to focus on? If you have a phrase like mine, you might repeat that to yourself. Or you might just feel this gesture of receiving in your body, opening yourself up to receiving what it is that you need. Om Nama Shivaya. Now adjust your hands to a gesture of embodiment or acceptance, whatever that might mean for you. So one mudra I like is to bring the fists towards the heart so that the fingers are resting above the breastbone. But you might also just bring the hands to cover the heart or rest your hands somewhere on your body where you feel like it would be useful for this intention or this energy that you're inviting in to settle in your system. So I'm choosing this gesture of bringing my intention into my heart. And again, continue to repeat your phrase to yourself if you're using one, or just focus on fully accepting what you have received, inviting it to fill you. Continue with this part of the practice as long as you need to. If you're feeling especially depleted, these first two steps might be the best practice for you, receiving and then embodying. But when you feel ready, when you feel completely filled, bring your hands to a gesture of giving, or just rest them in such a way where you feel like you can expand and share. Or you might choose a gesture that is more like surrendering to your divinity, to the divine, surrendering to something greater than yourself. I'm choosing to find Anjali Mudra at my forehead in a gesture of humility, but also one for me that embodies sharing, giving. And so as you continue to meditate on your phrase or on your intention, focus on surrendering or sharing. Om Nama Shivaya. As you're ready, let your body come to a completely neutral position. Let your hands rest wherever they are comfortable. If you are not already lying down and resting in Shavasana, the rest pose, then please come there now. I plan on doing a lot more Shavasana for myself today. I have some guided meditations I'm going to follow. And so with where I am in my day, my body, I'm comfortable sitting in meditation. You're welcome to recline, to support your body, maybe cover your body with a blanket. And give yourself permission to fully rest. Release the need to do anything in particular. Give yourself permission to simply be present. Feel your body resting and luxuriate in that feeling of rest. Notice how you are feeling without trying to analyze or label. Give yourself permission to simply enjoy being alone in your own body and mind. And as distractions inevitably come up from outside or from within, every single time these distractions arise, give yourself permission to do less. Give yourself permission to rest and permission to sit in contentment with yourself. Please stay here as long as you can. And when you are ready to transition out of your practice, be sure to take some time to express gratitude to yourself for anything that arose for you that was useful during your practice, and also to yourself for choosing to be present, for choosing to practice for yourself, for your family, and for your community. You might bring your hands to cover your heart in a gesture of self-care and gratitude. Knowing that caring for yourself allows you to have the strength and the power, the love and the joy that you need to be a positive impact in your community. And know that caring for yourself is worthwhile. And I'd like to sincerely thank you for joining me in practice today, for allowing you to share what I love and what has helped me. Thank you for being in community with me. Thank you for practicing with me. The highest and best in me sees and honors the highest and best in you. Namaste. So if you are still resting and finishing your practice, please take your time. Make sure you move your body nicely and gently as you wake back up. Make sure that you nourish yourself well today with good food and good hydration. Be sure to continue your practice as you leave your mat space, remembering what you have learned today from yourself, remembering what your body has taught you, what your mind and your heart have taught you today. And I look forward to seeing you again soon. Hopefully, those of you who are interested in yoga training can join me for yoga training. And for those who just love yoga and want to keep practicing, you can practice with me during classes like this and other things that I offer and we offer here as a school. So thank you again. Please take care, and I hope to see you again soon.